A-cameramarker.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I work at Oakland Zoo. I'm going to be doing the black bear talk today. They're going to be getting lots of enrichment. I don't know what exactly they're going to get, but we're going to find out together, and then we're going to learn a bit about how animals in zoos get taken care of. All right, everybody. It is 2 o'clock, which means we are going to go ahead and get started. So if you guys are here for our black bear talk, you are in the right spot. If not, welcome to the black bear talk. That's what we're going to be doing in just a second. All right, if you guys have never joined us for an animal highlight before, welcome. This is going to be about a 10-minute presentation. It's totally informal. If you guys want to stay the whole time, that's cool. If not, that's also totally fine. But at the end of the talk, I am going to be hanging out to answer some questions. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to come up to me at the end. At the end, I will also have some very cool trading cards, which you can only get by coming to these talks. So if you guys would like to come and get a trading card from me, feel free to come on up at the end. Okay, now that I've gotten all of our boring logistics and things out of the way, what are we even talking about today? What we are going to be talking about today is enrichment. Enrichment is anything that we give to our animals to spark interest or to spark joy, but it is a little bit more involved than that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about enrichment broadly across the whole zoo. So I invite you all to settle in, enjoy watching the black bears in their last little bit of activity before they go to sleep for the winter. So feel free to hang out, and like I said, at the end, if anybody has any questions or would like those trading cards, please feel free to come up to me. Okay, so I already went over a little bit of what enrichment means, but every single animal here at Oakland Zoo is going to get some kind of enrichment. Every animal, all the way from our little bugs up to our megafauna, like our bears and our even more mega bears over there, are going to get some kind of enrichment every day. Enrichment, like I said, is anything that we give to our animals to spark interest or to spark joy. But it's a little bit more than that. So with all of our animals, the goal of enrichment is always to give them the ability to do some kind of a natural behavior. So a behavior that they would be doing out in the wild. For our black bears, that means a wide variety of things that we will get to in just a second. But across every animal at the zoo, that can mean something as small as changing up their furniture. It can mean giving them new scents, new textures, new types of food, different ways of getting into their food, especially things like food spreads and food puzzles. All of these are to allow our animals to behave like they would out in the wild. With our black bears specifically, does anybody want to shout out some things that they know that black bears like to do? Does anybody want to say anything that you know that black bears like to do? Yeah?
They like to sleep a lot in the winter.
They like to sleep a lot in the winter and eat a lot before they go to sleep. Absolutely, yes. So the technical term for what my friend here just said is hyperphagia, which means eating a whole bunch of food right before the winter, and then they will go through their torpor cycle. And here in our zoo, we get a lot of questions about if our bears go through torpor or hibernation, and they absolutely do. So these guys will be asleep probably in the next couple weeks. Through March, April, May, we're not quite sure. They sleep as long as they want to. Bears in California do go through torpor. A lot of people assume that it's only bears in places that snow, but the bears here do. Our bears here behind us are actually from California, so they did it naturally on their own. So these guys it's a very important part of their behavior to be able to do that. So that's one of the things that we can do for them here to give them as natural of a life as possible. That was a great comment, my friend. Does anybody else know any things that black bears really like to do? Anybody want to shout anything out? Yeah? Swim, and I heard climb trees. Yes, absolutely. These are very, very important things for our black bears to be able to do. They really like to climb, they really like to swim. All of these are natural behaviors. And so we're going to encourage our bears to do that with a variety of different things. Sometimes that means putting things in their pool for them to swim with. They'll get different kinds of toys, they'll get different enrichment that has food in it in their pool. So we give them the opportunity to swim and to act very naturally. So with our black bears today, let me see if I can get a good look at what they have today. It looked like I saw some corn, maybe I see at least one food puzzle up there. So if you guys saw something that looks like fire hose, and it looks like actually our ravens are getting into it right now before our bears, maybe after our bears had a chance to. All of these are different examples of enrichment. So with our bears, the main things that they're going to get are food spreads and food puzzles. So these are very important for them to allow them to feed like they would out in the wild. Obviously, our bears here don't have much of a chance to hunt, but they do get a lot of chance to forage. So these guys, like I said, were born out in the wild and brought here, and regardless of that, all of the animals here that we take care of have wild instincts. So their bodies still tell them to do all of the same things that wild bears would do. So these guys especially, their bodies tell them, oh, we have this big strong nose that is great at foraging, so let's forage. So they're gonna do that. Bears are also exceptionally smart. It is one of the things that tends to get them in trouble. Exhibit A, the bears behind us. They are extremely smart. I can get into that a little bit at the end if anybody is interested in their story. But these guys are very, very good at solving problems and very good at solving puzzles. So our bears here, we give them a lot of different puzzles. That's one of those food spreads or food puzzles, like I mentioned. So these give them the opportunity to exercise their brains just a little bit and have a new challenge to solve. So we will give them their food in a variety of different ways to make sure that they are not bored, and also to make sure that they are behaving as closely to bears out in the wild as possible. So one of the factors that we have to look into when we're designing enrichment is something called the natural history of our animals, or what I just talked about how they behave out in the wild. But the other main important thing that we have to consider when we're designing enrichment for all of our animals is that just like all of us, all of these guys are also individuals. They have individual personalities, they have individual preferences, they have foods they like better than others, they have things that they're going to want to go for first. So some of our bears may feel, I don't want to put in all that work today. I'm going to go for the easy snacks that got thrown all around, rather than working a little bit harder to get those higher calorie, maybe a little bit yummier foods in those puzzle feeders. So you may see that some of our bears are going to choose to go for the food that's spread around rather than the food that's in the puzzles, and we always want to make sure that they have that choice. One of the big things that this zoo in particular emphasizes is making sure that our animals have choice and control in their environment. So that means giving them the opportunity really to choose how they want to spend their time. So our bears may want to go for those easy foods, they may want to work a little bit harder, but we're always going to give them the option. We're also always going to give them a very wide variety of food to choose from. So maybe one day Cambria is really not feeling the sweet potatoes, but Kern or Tahone, the other two boys in there, are feeling the sweet potatoes. So they're going to get a chance to have their choice and to pick what foods they would like to eat first. We also give them a wide variety of different things to do in their habitat. So we're going to give them a lot of different kinds of furniture. We're going to give them a lot of different places to be. So if they choose to go up into the trees and lay in one of those hammocks, they're always going to have that option. Black bears in particular are very much designed to climb. So our black bears here love to climb, and they love to spend a lot of time up in those hammocks. So if you can't find the black bears, for the next few months they'll probably be asleep, but if you're here, say, in the summer and you can't find the black bears, it's always a good idea to look up into the trees and see if you can find them up there. All of our bears here all have different preferences, they all have individual life histories, and all of these guys, we're going to be taking care of their whole lives. So as they continue to age, we're also going to modify their enrichment if there's any animals that develop any physical conditions. As they age, they may not want to put in as much work, so we can modify their enrichment to give them the best possible life and make sure that they're still able to exhibit all of those natural behaviors, even as they continue to grow older. All right, guys, that is about it for me. Thank you guys so much for coming and listening to my talk today. I really appreciate it. If anybody has any questions for me, please feel free to come up to me, and I will be happy to answer all of those questions. And also, if anybody would like a trading card, I also have those for you as well. So I am going to go ahead and keep the mic on just in case anybody has any questions. But if you would like a trading card, feel free to come on over right now and I will pass those out. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Just by coming to the zoo, you are actually helping to support black bear conservation. So I really, really appreciate all of you choosing to come here and spend your day here at the zoo. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have an amazing day. So our black bears came to us as nuisance bears. A nuisance bear is any animal, any bear in particular, that loses their fear of humans and learns to come to humans as a food source. Black bears are extremely smart animals, so they will go to whatever the easiest food source is. Cambria, the matriarch, the mom of our two boys here, learned that people's vacation homes have food in them. So she was breaking into vacation homes, and this had happened multiple times. And once a bear learns that, they basically will never go back to hunting in the wild like they did before, because like I said, they're very smart. They're going to keep going to whatever the easiest food source is. They're also able to teach that behavior to their cubs. So Cambria was teaching that behavior to her boys also, so they were learning that nuisance behavior. So Fish and Wildlife made the decision to remove her from the wild. This is quite common with black bears. So unfortunately, her options were either being euthanized or being placed into a zoo. So we were very lucky that we were able to take her here and give her a very nice life. But there's a lot of bears out in the wild that don't have that option. So it's very, very important to make sure that you're being responsible in wild spaces and allowing bears to stay wild.
Mine is floating. He's actually floating.
Oh, bear!
Look, bear! Oh my god, first time I see a bear shake.
Oh yeah, that's a big shake.
Shannon, did you see that? Did you see that? See the bear? See the bear?